The Australian Security Academy acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognises the continuing connection to lands, waters and communities. We pay our respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures and to elders past and present. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples should be aware that this series of live streams contains images or names of people who have passed away.
Good afternoon, investigators. Mike Evans and Casey Pine here with Casey Evans with episode 343 of Spy Curious. Welcome along, Casey. How are you?
Thanks, Mike. I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Very nice Christmas earrings you're wearing today, Christmas tree earrings. It'd be seasonal.
Getting in the festive spirit here, people.
Say hello in the chat, people, if you're there. Thanks for saying hello. G'day, Andrew. Great to see you, mate. Thanks for your session earlier today. Hi, Chris. Chris graduated this week from the Australian Security Academy 2 qualifications. Hey, along. How you going, mate? Great to see you. And Nina, great to see you, mate. Thanks for saying hello. If you missed it over on Investigations Uni, Andrew presented today on how to prepare and write a chronology of events from the documents obtained during a investigation. And what a lot of people don't know, that chronologies are done not just in workers' compensation, but in most types of investigations that are out there. They could be in home arsons, home burglaries. They could be done in racial discrimination, sexual harassment matters, public liability, dog bites, surveillance investigations, you name it. There's a chronology for that investigation that's out there, and not a lot of people know there's so many different types of investigations. How do you get your head around that? You're only just starting out in the investigation industry, and it's a lot to try and sort out. Well, when you're onboarded by the investigation agency that's taken you on, they tell you, look, we do workers' compensation investigations and we specialise in that, and we do a little bit of racial discrimination, sexual harassment, that sort of thing, because it's all related. That's the type of investigations you will do. And they give you their templates. That's too much information. They give you their templates. They give you the lists of questions to ask. They show you chronologies and they talk you through this. You go into the office, you meet the people you'll be interacting with. You are not just sent a whole bunch of documents and, you know, here's a bundle and you're on your own and you aren't going to know what you're doing. They onboard you and grow you into it. So if you're going to be doing CTP liability investigations, they will give you instructions in how they do it. They'll give you all the templates to follow and how to build them. They're setting you up in your own business, and it's in their interests for you to be successful. So if they say to you, you're going to be doing general insurance stolen motor vehicles, general insurance public liability dog bites, or general insurance slip, trip and falls to visitors or workers and contractors in the home, or simply hail damage to buildings, to domestic dwellings and to motor vehicles, they're going to tell you all about that and guide you through it. You don't have to know it or be an expert on it before you start. They understand that you're new to it. They want to grow you into it and help you succeed. And it's in their interests to prepare you for that by setting you up in your own business to do it, whether you're an employee or a subcontractor. So all those different types, there was 20 different types of chronologies that we spoke about today. Each one only had 20 documents that you could look at. So there was 200 different documents that formulate a chronology. It's overwhelming, but trust me, there are, I'm not allowed to say that, Andrew said that before, I'm not allowed to say that anymore, but you will have a good guide on what to collect and what to put into that from your employer relating to the type of work they do. And you might work for 2 or 3 different investigation agencies. One might just do workers' compensation. One might just do motor vehicle accident. One might just do general insurance, loss of property, that sort of thing. So someone, lost a valuable antique or their purse or whatever. Okay, so you'll be guided on that when you're onboarded. So that's the important thing to remember as a beginner in investigations. Some of the news that's happened around the place this week, the tax office have been highlighted on Current Affair, where they put an ankle monitor on a 54-year-old diabetic woman. Now, the tax office have come out swinging saying, we don't do that. That's the courts that do that. So they did a quick duck shove. But I am absolutely perplexed. What kind of flight risk have the tax office got themselves there? How much money did that person owe the tax office, and by what means? It must have been millions for it to end up like that. And Current Affair have been asking questions, and the tax office have been handballing over to the police and the court saying that's what they do, they follow up on all that sort of thing, and blah, 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 we don't do it, we're innocent. Which is a great place to be. But that's come out in the news this week. In Australia, just last Friday, a man was jailed for many reasons, and one of them was for acting as a commercial subagent without a licence between May and October, and 2 counts of unlawfully tampering with a vehicle. So Kane Dallow, down in Launceston, Tasmania, has represented himself as a licensed investigator from the ACT. Now, that's total BS, because if you're in the ACT, you just call yourself, hi, I'm Mike Evans, investigator. You don't need a license. There's no such thing as an investigator's license in the ACT. You don't have to have one. So you can do anything you like. There's no rules unless you're working for one of the established, real investigation agencies, and you are in Canberra. If you want to work for them, you're going to have a license in New South Wales or Victoria. They're not going to accept that you don't have a license, because all their clients demand that you do have a license. So Kane's gone and told this bloke that he is a licensed investigator from the ACT. That's impossible. There's none that can be ACT licensed, because they don't have licensing. And he met the sucker who he was scamming and placed a tracking device on the person who was scamming's wife's vehicle. So he's represented himself as a private investigator. He stuck a tracking device on there. He was never a private investigator, and they've found out about it down in Tasmania. He's done several other frauds. So he claimed to be a Channel 9 program reporter and ripped $5,000 off another lady a few years ago. And he's had a real run with various, and he skipped his bail conditions and left the state under a false name to escape reporting to the police daily. What are the penalties in Tasmania for holding out and representing to be a private investigator? Each state, Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, Tasmania, Western Australia, has what they call a penalty unit. And if you misrepresent yourself as a body corporate, as a company, and say, look, we're an investigation agency and you're not licensed, that is up to 1,000 penalty units that you will have to pay in fines. Now, you might only get 850 penalty units because it was on sort of like a lesser scale, or you might get 200 penalty units because you just forgot a day late to renew your license. And there was a hurricane in Hobart and you couldn't get to the place and you still kept doing that investigation that afternoon after the hurricane. All right, so you might get off with 50 penalty units or something. Then what is a penalty unit worth in Tasmania? It's worth $202. So the maximum penalty for a company, $202,000 when you see it. Now, Kane didn't get that penalty, right? Because he was an individual. And so he is only liable for 200 penalty units, but he's going to jail. So whether they've applied full whack plus a jail sentence, I don't think they're really going to be concerned about pursuing him for that money. But he has been jailed for multiple frauds, including holding himself out to be a commercial sub-agent. So why is this so relevant? There are two organisations in Tasmania who are not lawyers, who are not loss adjusters. They're not licensed private investigators, and they do workers' compensation investigations in Tasmania unlicensed. And they don't have a company license, and they don't have individual licenses. And they are getting away with it while Kane has gone to jail. Now, if I was him, I'd be kicking up a real fuss. Why are you dumping all this on me, but you're letting those people who have no qualifications, who are not registered with Consumer Affairs in Tasmania, do workers' compensation investigations in Tasmania? And a lot of investigation agencies in Tasmania and nationally who are licensed in Tasmania are asking the same question. If they're loss adjusters, if they're lawyers, fair enough, they don't have to be. But the two organisations I'm talking about are neither. And they've been getting away with it for 4 years that I know of. No penalties applied. This guy does it. Yes, he did everything wrong, and yes, he was a fraudster, and it all added up. There's no difference between those two companies doing it and him doing it. They're not saying they're ACT licensed when they're not. They're just simply not licensed, and they don't meet the criteria. And if you're watching this, you're an injured worker in Tasmania, and someone rings you up and says, look, I'd like to come and get a statement off you in relation to your injury, ask them for their individual license when they come to see you. Have a look at the photo on the license. Is that the person that says it is? Check with the Work Cover Authority in Tasmania if that organisation is licensed and approved to do that work before you give a statement to anybody. Who wants you to do that? The legitimate investigation agencies in Tasmania who are licensed want you to do that. So this guy has had full whack maximum penalty applied to him, and other organisations in Tassie have got away with it. So that's a really interesting situation to be in. And if those companies get the full 1,000 penalty units applied to them, that's going to be a very expensive mistake that they've made. Now, this does happen in Victoria. I'm not aware of it happening in New South Wales, Queensland, Western Australia or South Australia, but it does happen in Victoria as well. But it's really good to see that they have actually identified it, actually followed through with it. It was the police that did it, not the Consumer Affairs Authority. Now, I don't doubt that the Consumer Affairs Authority is underfunded and understaffed. And this is something that the police would have had to handle on complaint by the Consumer Affairs Authority to them. The fact that this guy's done a lot of different frauds also helped the police in relation to it. So that's really interesting to see that this week, 5th of December 2025, happening in licensing in Tasmania. It does seem a bit unfair that one person has been singled out and called a fraudster when there are others representing themselves, misrepresenting themselves as licensed investigators. And the rule down there is if you're going to conduct investigations, unless you're a loss adjuster, unless you're an accountant, and unless you're a lawyer, or you work for an insurance company, you must be licensed. So that is a really interesting development. And part of what we do here in Spy Curious, because if we don't tell you what's happening in licensing, nobody's ever going to know. Speaking of licensing, down in Victoria, the Victorian Police Licensing Regulation Division are manually doing applications for investigator licenses and security licenses at the moment because their computer system is down. Now, with 2 investigator applications a week and 120 security guard applications a week, no funding and no staff, I don't know how they're doing that. That is going to be an amazing task until that computer's up and running for the LRD to have to deal with it. It's ridiculous that an organisation with the responsibility in the police in Victoria for the licensing of investigators and security guards has to work under those conditions. And I really feel for the people who have to do that because it would not be an easy task. And I'm sure they're doing their best. And once that computer system's up and running, everything should be moving forward. So that's the news I've got for this week. If you're looking for investigation work, people, jump over onto our Facebook page where you see the job vacancies that we know of that are advertised each week. If you're an Australian Security Academy graduate student, email me and I'll put you in touch with employers that want to speak to you. New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, Queensland, Western Australia, doesn't matter where, just let me know. One that's looking for you at the moment is ISG Investigative Services in New South Wales. They do workers' compensation investigations and they are prepared to take you onboard you, help you become an investigator because you've got to be licensed before you go there. If you have your own company and your own insurance, they will pay you $50 an hour starting rate, right? That's what they will pay you to start with. And they will set you up in your own investigation business if you have the company and you have insurance. Now, that's not unusual. There are some places that do that, all right? Others are just happy to have you as a subcontractor. But that's just one I wanted to point out, just so you could see it. Yeah, I won't go into all the others. Casey, what have you got for us this week? You got to put your microphone on.
Sorry, I've got my dogs barking at the neighbour who's mowing. So on Friday afternoon. I was just trying to upload it quickly. Sorry.
That's all right. Thanks, Greg. Thanks. You have a good Christmas too, mate. I hope you get some time off. I doubt you will, but I hope you do.
Loading. There we go.
Yeah, Andrew's comment on the tracking device. Yeah. Look, he was in trouble for that as well. That was a mess. There was an actual licensed private investigator that was hired by the person who was jailed to assist in that matter. And I don't know if that licensed investigator, who it was or anything like that, but that licensed investigator should never have been involved with it. Anything to do with that kind of thing. If you're a licensed private investigator, stay away from marital and relationship investigations. It's only going to lead to trouble. Do investigation work, which there is plenty of, that you're going to get paid to do.
Yeah. Okay, so I have this week, I've got an announcement and a tip. So I am proud to announce that next year, the Australian Security Academy we will be moving to digital certificates, which is very exciting. It's actually a lot harder than it sounds because you can't just hand out, well, email a PDF and expect it to be a legitimate source. So we have the tracking of each certificate and little QR codes and validation points for it. So that's very exciting, especially we have a lot of students and a lot of businesses that have paper-free offices that they've told me about that this year, which is very, very responsible and very organized of them. And so moving to paper-free for us as well will help with that, with everybody. You don't need another certificate laying around. Just having your digital certificate there will make life easier. So they're currently in the design process. So we found a really good provider to help us with the security of that, which is very exciting. So if you have one of these, they will be worth money because they'll be antiques. So the paper certificates are beautiful, but yeah, just trying to move it into the 21st century, really. The second thing, that's our CPD points. So that's something we already do, which is be a little bit prettier than that. Second thing, I got an email last night from Brad Lyons, who has traces.au, which is a whole bunch of tools for investigators, and you can sign up to that, and I've forgotten how much it is, but it's not much. He made it really cheap for individual investigators to help them out with Google Dorking, to help them with an EXIF data tool, to help them with so much. And I said to him a few months back that we really need a name checker tool in there, and he wrote to me last night and kindly said that, there you go, Casey, it's done. So for those of you who do use traces, the name checker will be up there shortly, which is really fantastic. So if you know anything about OSINT and you know how valuable usernames can be, this will be a fantastic place for you to go and run any kind of username to see if it's across any other platforms, which is excellent. Well, sometimes we do get a lot of false positives. Sometimes, well, other times it can really provide gold there. So yes, definitely go check that out if you use traces. And that's my tip for the week.
Very good tip too. And Traces is an industry association or a website or a business? Is it? Do you subscribe to it? How do they get onto a case?
You can. So it's, gosh, what's his? If you are part of his industry association, which I've forgotten what it's called. Oh God, he launched it this year. Let me just bring.
That's okay. Google Brad Lyons. You won't go OSINT. You won't go wrong. You'll find it. That's all you got to do. Casey's doing it now.
That way, if you are part of his industry association, Brad is a fantastic investigator. He works exceptionally hard. You do get this as part of your membership. So if you are a part of Brad Lyons' industry association and you don't have your login or whatever, if you've missed it, it's definitely in your package. So speak to Brad about it. It's fantastic. And it's only, I think it's maybe $50 a month. I don't quite remember how much it was, but I remember it being really, really cheap to have access to all of the tools in there. You've got a URL expander. You've got online spreadsheets for scraper data that you can put in there, Facebook search, Google search, NZ insolvency check, which I found really interesting. I actually haven't had to use that yet. So, and I use the EXIF tool there all the time. So it's one of my favorite EXIF data tools. So if you have a picture, you can throw that in the EXIF data tool and it'll show coordinates, what kind of device the picture was captured on. Not forgetting that if you can't prove the origin of an image these days because of AI, if you can't show the origin, then it's unlikely to be treated as real. So using the EXIF data tool, being able to find out what kind of device it was captured on, if there's any metadata there, it's really, really handy to show legitimacy of your images. So very handy there. And world clocks, the world clocks tool, I use that all the time because I have calls between Sydney and Perth and LA and London, and I'm horrible at trying to figure out the times, and just having the world clocks there is fantastic. So yeah, definitely check it out. It's traces.au. Or you can
and Brad updates it frequently, adds new value for everybody all the time. It's not just like an app that's just created, charged for and forgotten. He works it and he delivers added value. All right, can't get better than that. I have one question, Mike. I heard you correctly. You advised to stay away from marital relationship surveillance. Might get some feedback on why that is. Yes, there is abundant work out there in investigations, and the investigation agencies will onboard you, grow you into it, and welcome you into their business. They will send you out with other people to look at how they take statements. They will give you all their templates for report writing, for statement questionnaires relating to whatever it is they do. They will set you up in a sustainable business where you can rely on the fact that you will be paid every fortnight. You can go and compete with the organisations that do marital and relationship surveillance. You can. No one can stop you. You're allowed to. You're licensed. The example I gave before of the person holding out to be a licensed private investigator, he involved another legitimate licensed investigator in that, who probably wasn't aware of who that involvement came from or what it was about. And that investigator, I don't know what happened, but I would imagine it didn't end well. There would have been complaints made by the wife whose vehicle had a tracking device put on it. There'd be links to whoever was involved in it, and there would be a stain on that person's credibility and license in relation to that. Now, the courts haven't put up the transcript of what happened in the court, so I can't identify, days, dates and times and who was involved yet, but I'm waiting on it. Launceston Court's very slow with putting those things up. But if you get into marital and relationship surveillance, you're competing with a whole bunch of people that will be quoting that they'll do it for $15 an hour, for $10 an hour, for the Halloween special. or the Black Friday surveillance special or whatever, okay? And particularly in Queensland and now in New South Wales, where there are stalking and coercive control rules, you're going into an area that is really going to be hard to break into if you're new at it. There are people out there that do it, okay, and they do it very well. And they are there for the people that need them. They do background checks on everybody before they, get into it. So they're not, basically working for coercive controllers, that sort of thing. But my advice to everybody, stay away from it, let everybody else do it. And in the future, as you get experience, and you will get people come to you and say, look, I need surveillance here, I need surveillance there. That's going to happen. It's natural because they, know you or familiar with you. But be very careful with it. It's very high risk, okay? Very, very high risk. I don't promote it. It happens. There is a need for it. People need to know. But is it a legitimate need? Is it a coercive control need? Is it a family violence issue? You don't want that coming back on you, okay? It's very high risk in that regard. People, that's our program for today. You have been watching episode, here we go.
Impact. Thanks, Greg. That's Brad's industry association. Thank you.
Sorry, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Greg. Really appreciate that, mate. Thank you. Yeah, I've been watching episode there it is. 343 of Spy Curious. Each week we try and bring you news of what's happening in the industry, updates on what's going on in licensing, opportunities in the future. You can get a digital certificate. Okay. places to go of interest to investigators, like this one we talked about last week and the week before. All these things come to you from the Australian Security Academy each week. We've been doing it now for 6 years. It's part of the landscape. We have a stewardship duty of care in this industry, and we bring that to you every Friday so you can stay informed of what's happening. If your license has been held up in Victoria today, we have told you why, because the computer system is down for an underfunded, understaffed part of the Victorian Police. They will fix it, okay? But that is the reason for the delay. We're here with that kind of news. G'day, Chris. Great to see you, mate. Enjoy that coffee. We bring you that kind of news each week. We look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks for the Christmas tree earrings, Casey. It's very seasonal. It's got everybody in the Christmas mood.
No worries.
And thanks to the tip. Good on you, Brad Lyons. It's great to see. Really great update. And people, you can always rely on Brad to keep that thing contemporary and give added value. And it's great to see people doing that in the industry. You wouldn't see this kind of thing 20 years ago, 25 years ago, because we didn't have the digital opportunity that we have now. It existed in the offices of the investigation agencies because they're very helpful people. They are, right? But this just takes the ability to communicate it up a level. And to be honest, we work in an industry that's not very good at promoting itself. Not very good at all. We're working on that, and that's going to be one of our initiatives in 2026 here at Spy Curious in association with AirLab and the Australian Security Academy. Thanks for watching, people. We'll see you next week.
Hi, everybody. 잡았습니다. 작전 종료. 전원 복귀할 것.